Hello everyone, Ron here from L.T.L Tutoring Central, and as promised this week I'm talking about educational changes. And I'm not speaking about each specific change, I'm speaking in general about educational changes. And if you've been around long enough, you will have experienced or seen a lot of educational changes over the years or decades, depending on how old you are. And you might be wondering, why? Why do things keep changing all the time in education? Well, some of them make sense. Obviously, with newer technologies, we're going to have changes in education because there are technologies that are available today that simply didn't exist 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, etc. So as the new technology comes in, some of that gets used in education, and some of it is very helpful and useful, and some of it is not. And all of it can be used well, and all of it can be abused, I would say. So again, just because you have a technology doesn't necessarily mean it should be used, or more likely doesn't necessarily mean it should be used all the time, or you have to be careful how you're using it. Why did they change, or why do they seem to continue to change the grading system? Sometimes it's in percentages, sometimes it's letters, A, B, C, D, and should I say F? You're not allowed to say that anymore. It's R now. I personally don't think students, even students who are struggling academically, I don't think that they are so unintelligent that they don't know when they're doing poorly. So whether you call it an F, or you call it an R, or you call it a Z, or whatever you want to call it, they know when they're doing poorly. So the idea, and this was, what's the point? Well, one of the reasons for not having F, for example, you don't want to say fail. You don't want children to feel discouraged or reduce their self-esteem. The problem is, it doesn't really work, because whatever number or letter you call it, as I say, a student knows when he or she is behind other classmates. He or she knows when they're having difficulty. So you need to work with that. The better educational method is to work with that and help the student to understand that it's okay, that everybody's different, number one. So you don't have to be a math genius, or you don't have to be a perfect speller or reader. And number two, that there are ways of improving. You might never be a math genius, but you can improve. So that is a better way than worrying about what a number or a letter means. So changing the numbers and letters methods all the time, it doesn't seem pedagogically sound to me, but there are reasons usually given for changes in education, but sometimes they aren't really sound reasons, they're not really good reasons. I think sometimes administrations or people like change because it's change. It's new. It has to be better than the old, right? New is always better than the old. Well, that's just not true. I've talked about this a little bit before. I don't think you always have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, as the old expression goes. I think that some of the older technologies still work, and some of the new technologies are fantastic. But we have to find a way of blending them and making them work in the classroom for sure, but actually more importantly for the individual student, so that he or she can succeed not only in school but in life and become a lifelong learner, one hopes. So that's my take on change. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, there's no moral judgment, I think, on them, but I think sometimes they're much more helpful and useful, and sometimes they really aren't. What can you do though? Because really, as a parent or as a student, there's only so much you can do. You're not likely going to change the school administration, the Board of Education, etc., or even a teacher's certain style. It's very difficult sometimes to change, and sometimes even trying is going to embarrass the child even more. Or if you're a student, you may get into trouble if you challenge the teacher too much. So what do you do? Well, I think you take the control at home. Just as the only person I can really change is me, then you can take some control at home. So you can use educational styles and methods to support your child at home. And if you're a student, you can take that control yourself. Remember, it is your education. I keep talking about that all the time, but it really is. It's for you. So you can use whatever method works at home to increase your knowledge on a particular topic. Now, I do understand that, for example, in math, and in my blog this week I'm talking about the so-called new math. I'll let you check out the blog for that. I won't go into that here. But the school may expect you to show your work in a particular way, and it might not be the way that you know how to do it. It might not be the way that your parents know how to do it. But if you can learn your parents' method, or if you can use the method you already have learned, or you've learned possibly from another teacher or from an online video, you can often use some of that information to figure out, what does this particular teacher want? How does he or she want me to show my work? And so you can kind of work backwards to sort of see how to do that. So it's not wrong to learn many methods. Sometimes it's good to have one that you stick with because it builds you a strong foundation, but it's good to look at things from different angles anyway. So don't worry about it. Take control at home. Do what works. Next year, probably you'll have a new teacher, or your child will have a new teacher, and everything could change again anyway. So never fail to think that you can help your child at home. And if you're a student, never fail to think that you can help yourself. Just because you don't understand this teacher right now or this particular method, there are lots of ways to learn, and keep learning, and all of these components will eventually fall into place for you. So don't fret and don't complain too much about the educational changes. They're probably going to keep coming, or circling round and round. The old may become new again, who knows. But practice at home. I know lots of parents worry about their children learning to write with a pen or pencil because they're not doing it at school anymore, learning multiplication facts or other math facts. I think it's good and it's important to learn these things, so practice them at home. If they're not going to do them at school, do them at home. And you'll find that that strengthens your skills. I'm not going to go too much into specifics again in this video because I'll make other videos about practicing math facts. I'm going to make another video about grades and the changing numbers and what do grades mean anyway, etc., in another video and blog. But I just want you to know that you have the control at home as a student or as a parent or grandparent or caregiver of any kind. So you can continue to educate yourself or your child, whatever changes come up at the school. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you'll see more videos about education, learning, reading, writing, math, all of those fun things, and motivation and encouragement to keep learning. That's probably the most important. And like the video if you like, add a comment, ask a question, check out the website. I will put the link below to the website and to the blog for this week. In the meantime, have a wonderful week. I'm not sure what's happening where you are, but we are having sun, rain, thunder, rain, sun. Today has been very strange. In the meantime, it's Ron from L.T.L. Tutoring Central. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.